Welcome to Weekday Somatics. Thank you for all of the fantastic feedback and observations um, in the messenger group. And I want to start by, we'll explore uh, I'd like to explore some things related to some of the things that you shared. One of those is about a couple of you shared that you had a pattern of getting sick every winter previously, not so much now, maybe some still now, but uh, I really would like to take a look at that because I think that's actually a profound insight. Directly connects to what we've been exploring together, and it also connects to the energy body uh, inquiry that I published over the weekend. So, for those who haven't had a chance to check that out, I I recommend it, and we'll do some of that inquiry today as well. So if you didn't get a chance to check it out, you're not going to be unable to participate today, but it would be good to check out also. So let's start by giving thanks and recognizing all of our teachers, all of the miracles that have come together perfectly to bring us to this moment right now, exactly as it is, to receive this miracle. And you can reflect upon all of your teachers, all of the teachers who have come to you, whether they came to you through books or in person or in dreams or in spirit, through nature, all of the teachers, the trees, the flowers, all the wild animals, the clouds, the sun, the stars, all the teachers that we have recognized and all of the teachers we've overlooked. And really, I would invite all of us to really open our hearts in gratitude to all of the magnificent support that we have. And let's inhabit a posture that we have reasonable confidence that we can do for the next 30 minutes or so with ease, so that we're not having any reason to indulge our habits of fear. So what I mean by that is, and I hopefully we will explore this a little bit more, but just to start to recognize that in fact this habit of fear is really just a habit. We have all of these ideas about why it is necessary, but in fact it is not. And we can actually completely surrender that and allow it to be transformed so that we can receive the gifts and the blessings that we were keeping ourselves guarded against with our indulgence of fear. So we want to be in a posture that we believe is safe, where we are able to receive the support so that whatever our minds might propose, whatever memories might surface over the next 30 minutes, we can come back to this clarity of I'm here, I'm okay, I'm supported. Whatever paranoid delusions might surface of how I'm being torn apart, how I'm being broken, and I have to strain to hold myself together, we can easily contrast that with the reality of our gentleness, of our receiving of support. So be really honest about that for yourself. If you push and strain and strive and you think Joey sits upright on the floor, I have to sit upright on the floor. But if it's a struggle for you, if it's not a posture in which you're presently able to confidently receive the support, if it provokes fear for you, if you don't have confidence that you can do this for 30 minutes without strain, don't do it. Be gentle. Why? Because when you are clear that you are well supported, then you are in the very best position. You've set yourself up well to surrender the fear, to see the fear clearly, to recognize the possibility that is beyond fear, that's actually available to you, which is a wonderful possibility. Because the fears will surface. And take a moment to notice the support, just to recognize where it is. Of course, it's everywhere, but in the physical realm, notice that the support is under you. So take note of that. Might seem like a small thing or an insignificant thing, but it's actually quite helpful just to note how to orient yourself to the force of gravity, because then you know to surrender everything to that. You don't need to strain against gravity. I mean, you certainly could, but who's going to win? At that level, gravity will win, in case you didn't know that answer. At the level of physical reality as we presently understand it, you versus gravity, there's no contest. Gravity will win every time. So surrender to that rather than struggling against it. Recognize that gravity is your ally. Gravity does not have any enmity for you whatsoever. Gravity is your friend. Gravity is an expression of the divine. Gravity is for you. It's for you. So you can receive that and surrender to that. And notice the breathing. Notice if the breathing is strenuous. Notice if you introduce unnecessary or unnatural turns to the breath, holding the breath, straining to take a breath, and just don't try to fix it. Recognize that you don't know how to fix it. All of your ideas and attempts to get it right, to improve it, will only increase the strain. So instead, be willing to surrender to the support of the natural breath. Just notice, actually, it's a really very, very powerful inquiry on its own. One we could take 30 minutes just for that. We won't, I don't think. But you just notice that this breath is happening without you having to interfere. You are the recipient of it. Just be in the receiving mode. Receive the perfect, natural breath. Just allow it to flow. Notice how smooth it can become. It can become so smooth that you can actually, at a certain point, and maybe not for most right away, so don't be concerned if you don't see it right away, but it actually is possible when releasing the breath, the control of the breath, and allowing it to be totally natural and effortless. It's actually possible to surrender so much that even the turning of the breath becomes completely continuous. There's one continuous flow. It's uninterrupted. There's no jaggedness whatsoever, no harshness whatsoever, absolutely smooth. And it's possible to perceive one's entire being as that. It's really quite pleasurable. So now I'd like to invite us all to explore the direct perception of the energy body. And I'll propose to you that this is a very powerful way to engage with somatic inquiry, because it cuts out a lot of the unnecessary clutter, the inefficiency, because it helps us to actually function at a subtler dimension of experience. I should mention that for most people, this will be easier to do with eyes closed. So initially, especially, there are some, I believe, there are some schools of training that train with eyes only open. So don't think that it's essential to have the eyes closed. But I find that it's much easier to recognize and acknowledge the reality of the energy body, and just to stay with that subtler dimension with the eyes closed. So if you have a sense of safety with eyes closed, then I encourage you to explore this with eyes closed. And notice that, just notice the sensations. Just notice whatever sensations you are presently aware of. And then notice that most likely, I not for sure because everybody is a little different, but most likely you think about the sensations. What do I mean by that? You probably, and again, not definitely, so if not, then don't worry about it. That's fine if you don't, and maybe better if you don't, but most of us do think about it. So we think about uh, what kind of sensation is this? Where is it? What does it mean? And it seems so automatic, we don't even recognize it most of the time. So, for example, we might think, well, I'll give you an example. I think there's a sensation of coldness in my hands. So actually a lot more to it. It all kind of unfolds. Like there's a whole story there. It's a cold day. I'm sitting in a cold space. I have a history of having cold hands. My hands are cold. There's a whole lot to it. Now I'd like you to notice that whatever sensations you are aware of actually exist, the sensations exist independent of the thought, independent of the image, independent of the memory, independent of the story. So notice that if you were to take away the idea of the location of the sensation, if you were to take away the idea of the meaning of the sensation, if you were to take away the any images or memories that you think are related to the sensation, notice that the sensation remains. And then you can actually expand your attention to notice all sensations in your field of awareness. Or I should say, maybe all sensation in your field of awareness. And you can do the same here with this entire field of sensation, this entire sensation perception. You can recognize that this exists independently of the thoughts, images, memories. So all of the thoughts and images and memories out of habit seem to have something to do with the pure sensation. But in fact, in reality, in our direct experience, we can discover right now that pure sensation exists independently. And we can do this miraculous thing, which is we can just gently rest here. Notice that it actually takes effort to try to associate and attach any thought or memory or image to the direct perception of sensation. And if you're really observant, you might notice that the only reason to do so would be out of fear. And what do I mean by that? Well, take a look. So observe that there is pure sensation. You are aware of pure sensation. Out of habit, you leap into thinking about it. And again, maybe not everybody does, but 99.9% of the world seems to, so chances are you do. So this thinking about it, this association of memory is a habit. Why do we indulge the habit? Take a look in your actual experience. The only reason it has to be, the only reason is because you perceive that there is some problem and that that problem must be solved in thought, in memory. Otherwise, there's no reason to make those associations. But we can all tell the truth, which is that those habits haven't worked out very well. They have not been satisfying. They haven't been in alignment with our true heart desire. What is that true heart desire? Well, look, what is your true heart desire? All the things that you think you want, what is it that is behind all of them? What's underneath all of them? What's the real heart of it? You can, we won't do it right now, but on your own, a little technique you can use. Anytime you're perceiving confusion about what your true desire is and how to align your action easily and effortlessly with that, is to get clear on what's the real heart desire. You can just start with whatever you think you want and ask yourself this question: if I had that, what would that give me? In other words, what is it I'm really looking for? If I had $1 million, because I think I need $1 million. So if I had $1 million, what would that give me? Well, then I'd have the freedom to pursue my real interests. Okay, if I was pursuing my real interests, what would that give me? You see, you just trace it back this way. Eventually, it becomes so familiar, you don't have to really go through that whole process, because it becomes clear that the answer always, always, always is this true heart desire, which is, could be expressed as peace, love, harmony, confidence, clarity, freedom, joy. It's helpful to get clear on that for ourselves rather than just taking somebody else's word on it. But if we can recognize that our true heart desire is for peace, then there's a certain point at which we have to start telling the truth, which is, my experience is a reflection of my actions. My actions are a reflection of my beliefs. My beliefs are actually a reflection of my habits. There is no power outside of me that can harm me. There is no power that can restrict me. There is nothing that can limit the expression of that true heart desire except for me. I am the only one who has the ability to transform those habits. If the habit is a habit of fear, I am the only one that can change that. How do I change that? By surrendering it. So again, observe this field of sensation. And we can, of course, describe it. And the descriptions are not the truth of it. So I want to be clear that we're going to use the intellect and memory, but in a conscious way rather than in an unconscious way. So we're going to utilize those faculties to our benefit rather than having them used by habit against us. So observe this field of sensation and just notice whatever sensation, whatever aspect of sensation calls out most to your attention presently. There's no right or wrong answer. You don't have to worry that you get the right one or the best one. It doesn't matter at all. But just notice whatever calls to your attention. It's just this is play. This is for fun and edification. So you can just notice that aspect of sensation, and then notice that you can use the intellect and memory in a clearer way to describe this sensation, to describe the qualities of this aspect of sensation, independent of the old habitual ideas, independent of the fearful reactivity. So it's a more objective view, we could say, so that we're not enmeshed in the habit of urgency and panic and fear that, this is really important. I've got to fix it now. I'm being broken. I'm being torn apart. If I don't fix it right now, it's going to be unbearable. You see, then we don't have to be so reactive. Instead, we can start to observe and notice, what is this sensation? What is its nature? Well, I'm curious about it, the sensation. Well, so if I don't have before I described the sensation as coldness in hands, but there was more to it. It wasn't just an objective coldness. It was a pain. There was fear. There's something wrong. I need to do something about it. But I can observe it now and just observe this aspect of my field of sensation has quality that I would describe as a kind of coolness. I don't know that it's actually coolness, but that's what it seems like at first. What other qualities does it seem to have? Well, let me look. Seems to be kind of dense, somewhat dense and cool. Radiating. It's a dense, radiating coolness. Now, see, there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer, but just it's a game. It's a play. So you can just start to observe and don't worry that you're getting the right answer, because this isn't about getting the right answer. It's about observation. It's about actually observing the experience, getting closer and closer to the subtler perception. Because, of course, as we really look at it in this way, we start to recognize, hopefully, well, it's not really what I think about it. I think it's cool, but I don't actually know that that's what it is. So I can start to recognize that there's a purer and easier way to perceive this. We can actually start to develop our own vocabulary that is a useful vocabulary for us. So it's not set in stone. We don't have to take some other vocabulary, although that could be helpful as well. but it's to start to explore the experience so that it works for us, so that we start to see more clearly. So we can look to see, well, what's the actual nature? I don't know. Maybe a better, more accurate way of describing the sensation is that it's just there's a sense of an uneven distribution of energy in my field of awareness of energy, of sensation. Did I give that away? I we're perceiving the energy body. I didn't say that explicitly, but that's what we're perceiving. So this, we can start to recognize that this energy is distributed unevenly. And now here's an important point that I really genuinely believe will be transformative in your life. And really, you can hear this at many levels. So hear it now, and then keep being curious about this, because it will keep working on you at many levels if you continue to be curious about it. So the problems that you think you have, I will propose to you, are actually problems of energy management. And so we can start to look at it in this way. And you can start to really recognize this in your actual experience, that there are habits of energy management that you have, unconscious, but habits nonetheless. And you're aware of them. You've always been aware of them. You just were thinking about them instead of perceiving them directly. You surely can recognize that. You called it anxiety. You called it indigestion. You called it constipation. You called it headache. You called it insomnia. You called it relationship problems. Call it money problems. I mean, all of the problems, all of them are problems of unconscious, poor energy management. So now that we are perceiving the energy body directly, we can begin to be aware of how it is that we have been unconsciously managing energy, and how that has been not satisfying. So you say that historically you have a history of getting sick each winter, as an example. Take a look at what the actual experience is. Now, there's a thought about it. You have stories about it. But look at the actual experience, and lo and behold, it's an energy management problem. And it's the wrong use of that energy. It's the inefficient use of the energy. So look to see how that energy leaks. So there's a requirement for energy for all activity. I can state that with certainty because it's just obvious. So you can recognize that true. No activity happens without energy. I mean, even at a purely mainstream uh, physical level, we recognize that if there's no uh, electromagnetic energy in the heart and in the brain and nervous system, then the body is dead. So to have thoughts, to move the body, to perceive, these all require energy. And you can start to recognize how the habits of the poor management of energy have directed that energy in unsatisfying ways. So, for example, we've talked about the dog barking. When the dog barks, observe what you unconsciously, habitually do with your energy. Perceive the sensation and start to really be aware of the movement of that energy. So you can start to perceive that what it is that you don't like is in fact it's a kind of congestion of energy. You pull the energy into a tightness, a contracted state. And then you say, it's the dog doing it to me. It's that dog's barking that's doing it to me. It's not, though. It's actually an unconscious habit of contracting the energy. And that, incidentally, this works at all levels. If you say, I can't perceive the energy body, well, fine. I mean, it's just an easier, more efficient, direct way. But you can also see it's the same in the physical body. The physical body contracts. It's just subtler in the physical body, and it's maybe more challenging to perceive it that way, but it will work. So you can notice the dog barks. There's a contraction. It's a contraction of energy. Now, where to discharge that energy? Notice, again, it's a poor management of energy. There's a contraction of energy. Now you have a reaction to that contraction. What's the reaction of that contraction? Well, try to discharge the energy. Where? To thinking. Blaming. Shaming, right? So blaming, it's the dog's owner, it's God, it's life, it's society. People shouldn't have dogs. People who have dogs shouldn't leave them at home. People who have dogs shouldn't let them bark. Dogs shouldn't bark, all that kind of thing. Or shame. Shame on me. I should know better. What's wrong with me? And so then you can get caught up in this awful, awful cycle of poor energy management, trying to discharge the wrong use of energy, the contracted energy in inefficient ways that get caught in loops. Then you say, I feel stuck. Of course you feel stuck. And I'm telling you all this from experience. I know. I'm just pointing it out. You see, take a look, see in your direct experience right now, see how this is actually true. The loops, the stuckness, it's an energy management issue. It's because that you're cycling the energy in inefficient ways. It's a game of hot potato within yourself, and you are all the players. You're passing the hot potato to yourself. Round and round and round it goes. You say, "Oh, I can't bear this. I'll toss the hot potato over to thought." And thought says, "Oh my God, I can't bear this. I'll toss this over to memory." And memory says, "Oh my God, I can't handle this. I'll toss it over to sensation." Now, what happens? Well, you know the answer. Look, pain, digestive distress, fatigue, inflammation, anger. It even manifests as hostility from others. And we say, "Oh, I can't, why would that be? Why are people so mean to me? I'm so nice." No, take responsibility and then your life will be better. I promise you. Again, I'm telling you from experience. I've told you my stories. I was surrounded by hostile people. Everywhere I went, I ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. And everywhere I went, hostile people. And they directed their hostility at me, and I feigned innocence. I said, "Poor me. Why are you taking it out on me? Can't you see I'm such a nice guy?" It's a poor energy management. So what does this have to do with getting sick every winter? Well, from my perspective, everything. Because again, it's, you see how it's poor energy management. So there are unconscious beliefs we energize them. We contract the energy, we distribute it poorly, we give the energy to inefficient processes, we energize the very things that we don't want, and then of course that's what we manifest in our lives. So we say, it will be something different for everybody. Okay, so this is just an example, but see how this example points to something that you can recognize for yourself. Life's not safe, life's hard, it's hard work, you got to struggle to get through. There's no free lunch, and I've got to do my part after all. But it's not fair. I don't want to, but I have to. It's just how it is. Got to struggle. I don't know how much more I can take of it, though. All those people I work with, why don't they just understand? Could be so much better, so much easier. But it never gets better. It's just hard. It's just how life is. But if I don't look like I'm trying, if I don't look enthusiastic, if I don't appear to be a team player, if I'm not doing my part, if I'm not working hard, If I'm not putting in the hours, if I'm not showing on my face how worried and stressed I am, how important it is to me, well, then I wouldn't really be doing my job. But I don't want to. I don't want to get up so early. Why do they make me get up so early? I'm angry at them for not understanding. I'm angry at them for not appreciating me, not valuing me, not valuing my contributions, and not valuing my independence and my right to do things my way, because my way is the best way. People get sick in the winter. That's a normal thing. People don't get sick so much in the summer, but they get sick in the winter. When I went to the store, that person sneezed. I wonder if I'll get sick. People do get sick in the winter. Maybe I'll get sick in the winter. If I get sick, I don't have to go to work. Don't even have to worry about not going to work. They'd understand. All I'd have to do is call in and say I'm sick. Nobody would think anything badly of me because people get sick in the winter. So let me propose something totally new to you. I want you to imagine this possibility and just actually see if you can maybe perceive how this is already true within you. Your energy body can be effortlessly smooth, even, pleasurable. And in fact, your energy body is in no way touched or harmed by anything that anyone says, does, or thinks, except you. And only is it affected by what you say, do, and think to the degree that you are unconscious. When you are conscious, present to the experience of the energy body, then nothing that you say, do, or think has any effect on your energy body. Your energy body remains perfect, fully integrated, smooth, even, powerful, protective, pleasurable, joyful, ecstatic, complete, beautiful, safe. Now, what do I mean by all of that? Well, I'm pointing to an actual experience that you can recognize now. So start to recognize how it is that the state of your energy body changes. Notice how it changes apparently with the circumstances. Have you ever been tired and then all of a sudden you were refreshed and energized? Of course you have. We've all had that experience. Well, why? It flies in the face of our conventional way of thinking about it, which says, well, if you're tired, you need to rest, and then you'll be rejuvenated, and then you can have energy again. It's energy management. If you are unconsciously draining your energy into inefficient loops of fear, anxiety, worry, anger, resentment, shame, blame, irritation, frustration, disappointment, discouragement, then you can expect to have an unpleasant to you experience. But start to notice that in reality, you can be present to your energy body in all circumstances. And you can choose to allow the energy body to remain whole, perfect, smooth, even, powerful, confident. And in so doing, I find it's a very, very powerful inquiry that can be easily integrated into your waking life. So first, we're starting with eyes closed to get a clearer sense of the energy body, a clearer sense of how it is that we have up to now unconsciously mismanaged our energy, drained it into inefficient loops. Now we can become aware, and then even as we go into our daily lives, we can have this awareness. Even as we have eyes open, we can have this awareness of the energy body, and we can recognize really easily and quickly as soon as those habits surface, because we perceive it as a subtle contraction in the energy body, in the felt sense. And without having to think about, well, what part of the body is that, and what movement do I do to help release that, and how long is it going to take, and maybe I should go lie down. We can immediately surrender that wrong habit, that painful belief, without having to analyze it or think about it or judge it or work through it. It's just instantaneous. It's just because we're operating at a subtler level, it's very, very fast. Now, when you really get this, the only problem that you'll have is the lingering belief that I'm not sure it's okay to feel this good. That's not a joke. I'm serious about that. So let's begin to consciously transition from the formal inquiry into an open-eyed waking state, and see that it's possible to do this without disturbing anything. See that you can remain aware of the energy body even as you slowly begin to open the eyes at your own pace. Don't rush. Really, the more patiently you're willing to explore the transition, the clearer it will be for you, and the easier it will be to continue to remain consciously aware in an effortless way. This is truly effortless. It's not like how mindfulness is often taught. It's not that kind of narrow attention. It's a very inclusive, penetrating presence that is absolutely effortless. It's natural. It's innate to you. It's innate to who you are, to remain restfully aware and aware of your heart desire and the expression of that. So as you slowly begin to transition to eyes open, continue to remain aware of the energy body and continue to remain aware of your authentic heart desire for peace, for love, for wholeness, that's unconditional, that doesn't depend upon any exterior circumstances. It doesn't depend on what somebody else says or thinks. It doesn't depend upon how much money you have. It doesn't depend upon what clothes you wear. It doesn't depend upon your history. It doesn't depend upon anything. And you can remain aware of that and then remain true to that. And this recognition of the energy body offers a very powerful tool or process by which we can regulate that so that we are expressing truly. We're remaining true in our lives, in our expression, so that we're not indulging habits that are in conflict with our heart desire. If our heart desire, which it is for unconditional peace, then we can start to recognize that those habits of indulging fear, which we can recognize as these little contractions in the energy body, are not appropriate. So this is not about right and wrong, but it's just not appropriate if what we want is unconditional freedom, unconditional peace, unconditional love. So now we have this awareness, just remain true. I say that like it's the easiest thing in the world. Kind of is, but we all fall down from time to time. So at your own pace, you can begin to open the eyes. And I'm going to end the recording for the formal inquiry. So for those who are watching the recording, thanks for joining.